Welcome back to CordcuttersLI. Amazon's new Fire TV Alexa Voice Remote Pro. Everything you need to know about it coming up in this short video. Trust me when I say this is the video you want to watch before buying one of these new remotes. I'll take you through all the bells and whistles, from the backlit buttons to those extra customizable ones. But most importantly, I'll show you everything you need to know so you can decide for yourself if it's worth that $35 price. At the end, I'll break it down in a simple list of pros and cons to make your decision easy. So if you're ready to learn all about Amazon's new Alexa Voice Remote Pro, put down your remotes and let's go. The two questions I get asked most by new cord cutters are, do I need a VPN and which VPN is best? The short answer to both of those questions is it depends. If you're someone who takes their privacy seriously and enjoys unofficial streaming apps or torrenting, you should use a VPN to keep your information encrypted and private. The VPN I recommend depends on where you live. If you're here in the US like me, I'd suggest trying IPVanish. It's the fastest and helps minimize buffering, while here in the United States, where nearly everything is available, unblocking content isn't as important. If I were outside the US, however, I'd suggest ExpressVPN. I feel it does a better job at ungeo-blocking the content available here in the US while you're not. In either case, if you're in the market for a VPN subscription and would like to try either one, you'll find links in the description below for the best price you'll get anywhere. Clicking on these links also helps in a small way to support the CordcuttersLI channel. Okay, so a couple of things you'll notice about the new Alexa Voice Remote Pro as compared to the standard remote. The Pro remote is a little bit taller to accommodate a few new buttons, namely the headphone button that should have a different name in my opinion, the up and down channel guide button. Note, I said channel guide button. This is not a channel up and down button. There is a difference and we'll get to that in a little bit. There is a new gear button, which I hate. Stay tuned and I'll tell you why. And lastly, there are two extra function buttons, or customizable buttons, labeled 1 and 2. These can do all sorts of things and yet still not as useful as they could be, but I'll get to that in just a moment as well. As for how the remote feels in the hand, it's about the same as the other remote. In fact, the weight is almost the same, with the Pro being just a few grams heavier. Before we get to why I think they dropped the ball on some of those new buttons, let's quickly go over the main features that might make us consider buying this remote. I'm talking about the backlit buttons and the remote finder function. These are two features that have been available in the NVIDIA Shield forever. It's nice to see Amazon finally catching up here. The backlit buttons on this remote work a little better than the Shield remote in my opinion, in that the Amazon remote uses a light sensor, so the buttons only light up if it's dark in the room. This should help to save a little battery life, whereas the NVIDIA Shield remote will light up every time you pick it up. The Find Your Remote function is also a bit better than the NVIDIA Shield, again in my humble opinion, where not only can you use the remote finder function of the Fire TV mobile app, you can also sync it with an Alexa device like my Echo Dot and just say, Alexa, find my remote. Are these two features enough for you to pull the trigger on one of these new Pro remotes? Let me know down there in the comments below. Now back to all those new buttons, starting at the top with the button with the headphone symbol on it. This is great for quickly switching between Bluetooth audio devices and your TV speakers. I tested this feature out thoroughly with both a set of headphones and a Bluetooth speaker synced to my Fire Stick 4K Max. This button allows you to quickly change between the audio outputs instead of having to drill down into the settings to find the Bluetooth stuff. Next we have the gear button, which I found to be a huge letdown. Unlike almost any Android TV remote that has this button, where you'd expect it to bring you right into settings, it brings you here instead, which still requires several more clicks to get to the actual settings of your Fire Stick. The next disappointing button to me is the up and down channel guide button. This button only works in the channel guide and does exactly the same thing as the navigation ring when you press up and down on it. It does not change the channel up and down if you're streaming live TV. I tried this on Sling TV, TV Mate, and even Amazon's own Freevee app. No dice. The last of the newly added buttons are the customizable 1 and 2 buttons. To save some time, I'll spare you the details on how to get these buttons programmed because that's pretty self-explanatory. Instead, I'll tell you what you can and can't do with them. You can set one up to open any official app that's installed. However, you cannot set one up to open third-party apps. Bummer. You can set one up to do anything you tell Alexa to do. However, as you know, Alexa can't do everything. For example, I go into Manage Installed Applications all the time on my Fire Stick, but you can't tell Alexa to go there. You can set one of them up to do a few other useless things as well. Now, to recap, let's make that list of pros and cons I promised you at the beginning of the video. On the pro side, you have the backlit buttons. I really like these. These, as I said, are probably better than the NVIDIA Shield, and I think this is very useful. With so many buttons on this new Fire Stick remote, it's going to be pretty hard to figure out where they all are until you get really used to it. So the backlit buttons really will help. The Find Your Remote function is great. I tested it out pretty thoroughly, and it worked really well. It's much louder than the NVIDIA Shield's Find Your Remote feature as well. The headphone button. I don't know really why they call it the headphone button, because it does control other things, really any audio device that's connected with Bluetooth. So it could be speakers or whatever, but I guess they had to put some kind of icon on there. So the headphone button is a win. That goes in the pros column. On the cons side, that gear button, I feel is pretty useless. I mean, it doesn't really save you very many clicks at all. Long pressing the home button does exactly the same thing. That channel up and down guide button, pretty useless. As I said, same as the navigation ring. Doesn't do anything more for you, it just takes up more space on the remote. Next on the cons list is the customizable buttons, which are a little lackluster in my opinion. They could have done a lot better. Maybe with some new updates down the road they will improve upon this. And the last con of all is the price. I mean, at $34.99 for the regular price, I feel that this is pretty pricey, especially when you're looking at, spending not even that much on some of the Fire TV devices that you're planning on using it for. Anyway, that's my look at the new Alexa Voice Remote Pro for your Amazon Fire TV devices. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you pick one up. Or let me know if you're just going to skip it. At any rate, as always, if you liked what you saw here today, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching.